It's 8 o'clock Monday morning. Here at Nairobi Hospital in Kenya, 5-year-old Umazi is in surgery to fix a hole in her heart. Umazi and her father, Tangwa, have traveled more than 400 miles from Mombasa to reach this point.
Your bypass is okay?
Bypass is all right, sir.
Under normal circumstances, Umazi's parents could not afford to pay for their daughter's surgery. But with financial assistance from the Minnesota-based charity Children's HeartLink, Umazi and other children can get the surgery they need.
Okay, can I have a pickup and a pair of scissors?
Children's HeartLink also brings medical volunteers, like Dr. Sanjeev Gandhi, to developing countries to assist and educate the local medical teams in pediatric heart care.
I've always been interested in giving something to the third world. My roots are in the third world.
For the next week, Dr. Gandhi will work closely with Kenyan surgeon Dr. John Kariuki to repair the hearts of Umazi and 5 other children.
So the value of this is you get somebody who does them more frequently, showing you how they do them, and then we can continue doing them.
Of all the kids in the world that have heart defects, that are born with heart defects, we only treat about 5% of them in the world, maybe 10%, but certainly not more than that. So 90 to 95% of kids that are born with heart defects worldwide are untreated. Why don't you bring us down and off bypass? You have to fill us up. You can't do much in a week, but it's better than nothing.
2 hours later, Umazi is wheeled out of the operating room and into the intensive care unit, where she will begin her recovery. Here, the Kenyan nurses monitor Umazi's progress with the assistance of American ICU nurse Lisa Marie Wispy.
My primary role here in Kenya is very much an educational role, is how I see it. The nurses, not only have they impressed me with their knowledge and their caring nature, etc., but they've impressed me especially by their resourcefulness.
So everything went
very well.
Yeah,
Everything went very well.
It's well.
Yeah, she had a big hole in between the 2 upper chambers of her heart. Yeah. It's all closed, and she's going to do just fine.
Yes. Yeah. It's nice. Yeah, we pray to be nice. Yeah.
But healing these kids is not accomplished by surgery alone.
I think the world of pediatric heart disease is a team world, and you can't operate in a vacuum. I can't do what I do, or no surgeon can do what they do, without the preoperative assistance of the cardiologist diagnosing these problems.
That diagnostic process begins in the cardiac catheterization laboratory, or cath lab for short.
I did some drawings and some explanations for them.
Here, cardiologist Dr. Jose Atedgi and lab technologist Jim Clendaniel from the Children's HeartLink team will spend their week working alongside Dr. Naomi Gachara to screen children with heart defects.
The heart sounds give a lot of information. In fact, a good bit of the diagnosis can be made just by listening to the heart. They've taken that a step further by using ultrasound, what another term for echocardiography.
You see the bifurcation there, Sanjeev?
Yeah.
The decision is then made based on the information that we gather, whether that child, A, needs to have surgery, or B, can have surgery.
If we can cath her.
We can cath her. We can rearrange our schedule, cath her. And it's through that exchange of ideas and through that open discussion that we believe that the best decisions are made for taking care of the child.
There has to be a lot of collaboration between the cardiologist and the surgeon. If that is not there, then things will go bad.
The Rift Valley, miles away from the hustle of Nairobi city life. Even in this remote village of Ngurumani, Children's HeartLink and the staff at Nairobi Hospital have touched people's lives. Meet 12-year-old Farida. She likes to play games with her sister. But just a few months ago, Farida was too weak to keep up with her younger sister. She was born with a hole in her heart.
She was about 6 years. Symptoms like she could not walk. She could not take meal like other children. When she stands, she becomes tired.
Farida needed surgery, so Jan Akka and Britt Toro, 2 Swedish missionaries working in the village, helped the family raise funds.
They wrote a letter for me to go and find some search for money for the operation, because the operation was very expensive that we could not manage.
Children's HeartLink stepped in to pay for a majority of the operation. Soon, Farida may be strong enough to walk to school, 2 hours from her village.
After the operation, we are seeing a lot of improvement. Now the child can walk about 1 to 1.5 kilometers without becoming tired. She can do some simple things, and we see the child can stay for more life.
Back at Nairobi Hospital, it's time for another surgery. The patient is 15-month-old Anusha.
Actually, the only problem we had is that she wasn't thriving. So she was sick actually since she was born.
She has the same type of heart defect as Umazi. But Anusha also has rickets, a vitamin D deficiency rarely seen in the developed world.
I've never seen rickets. I've read about rickets. The kid that we operated on was textbook rickets kid.
Pretty crummy bone, John. I guess it's because of the rickets.
In this case, they live in the hot part of Kenya, and there's a lot of, the sun, and the sun, of course, is part of the cure of rickets. But when you're not getting adequate ingredients in the diet, then, and partly it's not because there's no food, it's partly because the kid is too sick to eat.
So, perfect. Okay.
Everything went smoothly, and Anusha will now go to the ICU.
And of course now, I think she will be able to eat well and, grow well and overcome the rickets.
Doctors can also repair congenital heart defects in the cath lab without ever opening the chest.
We have an opportunity to do things to benefit the child trans-catheter, via the catheter.
The catheter is a small hollow tube that is snaked from a vein in the thigh into the heart to diagnose and treat certain conditions.
And that has opened up a new avenue that in a way brings us closer to the cardiac surgeons in that it allows us to do the treatment component. Actually, let's see if it'll advance a little bit more.
One of Dr. Atedgi's objectives for this mission was to help Dr. Gachara become more proficient in interventional cardiology. But the education has gone both ways.
And we all learn together, and we have gained a lot. I would say personally I have learned a lot, and I was wishing if the program was a little longer, or if it's made more often.
So this will make everybody happy. Get this thing back online today.
Children's HeartLink team member Eric Fuller helps the Kenyan staff keep the cath lab equipment functioning properly.
The way I kind of look at it is, you've seen the movie Ghostbuster. Everybody has to have a Ghostbuster to call. Well, the doctor, if he says he can't see that catheter in your heart, he needs somebody to call. So I'm his Ghostbuster.
Eric was an integral part of the cath lab's successful setup.
I happened to take a trip to Minneapolis, Abbott Hospital, to service a cath lab, and then I heard it was being taken out and maybe going to Africa. So I immediately volunteered. I said, if that ever, comes true, then please, I'd love to go install it. And February of '96, it happened.
Children's HeartLink has a long history of helping kids with heart defects. The program started in 1969 when a Vietnam War medic sent 3 Vietnamese children to his father, Dr. Frank Johnson, a cardiovascular surgeon in Minneapolis. The hospital provided heart surgery for the children at no cost. 1 year later, Dr. Joseph Kaiser came on board as chief surgeon for the organization, then called Children's Heart Program.
Gradually we did more and more. I think 1 year we did 60 of those children. By word of mouth, it spread, I think, through families as much as anything else. That if you could get your child in Minneapolis, they could get heart surgery. So we began hearing more and more from people everywhere.
The program was growing, but the cost of surgery was becoming more expensive.
And after some years, we came to the realization that it might be better if we trained people to do that surgery in indigenous country rather than trying to bring all those children here. You can't do it.
In the early 1980s, the organization started bringing personnel from developing countries to the U.S. for training. And the first international mission took place in Honduras.
We used to go to Honduras quite often, and there were a couple of surgeons down there that had some training. We worked with them and helped them get up to speed.
By 1994, 642 children from 23 countries had come to Minnesota for surgery. Dr. Kaiser began to focus more on training in other countries.
He was interested in helping sites, international sites, to develop their programs. What Dr. Kaiser wanted is to take a look at the possibility of this organization being more proactive in working with those sites to help them develop some of their services, so when the children that we were treating went back to their own country, that there was more assurance that they would get care and follow-up treatment.
Does very well, it sounds great.
We get requests all the time from sites from all over the world, really, to help them.
With the exception of some parts of North America and Europe, just about every country needs help.
To date, Children's HeartLink works with sites in several countries, including India, China, Ukraine, and Kenya. In addition to surgical programs, Children's HeartLink is working closely with its sites to develop prevention programs.
Preventing the cardiac consequences of rheumatic fever is something that can impact these kids a lot.
With prevention, you can do a lot. You know, one can prevent the disease because one will be addressing millions instead of individual numbers.
Because that's a much more cost-effective way of combating acquired heart disease.
In this kindergarten classroom outside Nairobi, children sing joyfully about a new day. Children like 5-year-old Dennis and his twin brother Davis. But only a few months ago, Davis didn't have the energy to sing or play with his brother because of his heart condition.
He was 5 months old when he started being sick. After that, he was very weak. We were told that finally the child will need an operation. Then we were told the amount we were to raise, and it was very difficult for us to raise that amount.
So Children's HeartLink helped pay for Davis's surgery at Nairobi Hospital in November of 2002.
Since the surgery was done, he's now doing quite okay. He doesn't have any problem.
He's doing very okay. He's doing a lot of exercises.
Financially, I could have not made it. I'm very grateful.
Praise the Lord. Bye.
A few days have passed since Umazi and Anisha had open heart surgery, and their recoveries are going well. Umazi plays with a balloon to strengthen her heart and lungs.
I'm very much happy for the receiving of the
for the service she has gone through.
Anusha is up and playing with some favorite toys.
Today she is laughing, she is smiling, she's trying to talk. She's okay now.
The patients are not the only ones who have benefited from this week's procedures.
Once we participate in a procedure like this, it is perfectly easy for us to do the next one and do it, with perfection.
It's like I'm dying to go back to my hospital and show them new techniques that I've learned.
There are some other benefits to going on trips like this, in that it's not a benefit that we give to the people that we're working with or to the children who we're working with where we go, but it's what we take away from the trip.
One thing that all of the Children's HeartLink volunteers will take with them is an increased respect for the medical staff at Nairobi Hospital.
I think the children are getting very good care, and I'm learning that you can take care, and you can care and love and nurture a child with this little equipment or with this much equipment.
Much more is done manually here. 15 is to 55 as X is to 35. But they function very well. It's quite amazing how well trained everybody is, given the level of technology that they're sometimes working with.
I have been very impressed with the technical staff, and I wouldn't hesitate to take them back with us to the States if that would be something that we could do.
They have no shortage of brains, and they have no shortage of humanity, and no shortage of the will and the want to do the right thing for these kids.
It's almost the end of the week, and the end of this mission to Kenya.
We're getting ready to send a few of them home, so we're saying our goodbyes.
It's a hard day, and I don't really know why, because it's a happy day, and it's a joyous thing that they're going home.
As Dr. Kariuki gives Umazi and Anusha the okay to go home, the team visits the patients one last time. They know that these girls will grow up strong and healthy, thanks to the staff at the hospital and the assistance of Children's HeartLink.
It truly is the best part, and this is why we came, is to help them and get them well and get them home, and this is what we all have worked for and dreamed for. These are her medications.
You can do your 300 or 400 cases a year in your own hospital in the United States of America and feel good about it and know that you've made the difference in the lives of a lot of kids. But again, you really haven't done anything for the whole specialty worldwide in general unless you do things like this.
We really have an opportunity, and to a great extent almost a duty, to be able to share what we have learned and our resources with I guess less privileged communities elsewhere.
Okay, ready, 1, 2, and...
Oh, that's nice.
As a cardiologist, and probably true for most of the medical volunteers that participate in missions such as this, once you do it and get hooked, it's something that you really feel that you need to do on a regular basis.
Dr. Kennedy presented me with the opportunity to come to Kenya with him on a medical mission trip, and at first I was hesitant, nervous, afraid, etc. But I'm very glad he did so. I'm very glad he encouraged me to do so. I wouldn't trade this experience for the world. We will. Yeah. Thanks for being so good to us.
They can use what we've given them to help more kids in the future and build their program and make their program better, so that this is not just a week-long experience. This is an experience that will continue for weeks and weeks and months and years after we leave here.
It's making friends, but
yes,
we'll keep in touch.
Absolutely.
I'll let you know what is happening.
Absolutely.
Was it?
If I could tell them anything, it would be that we learn as much as we teach when we come on these trips.
And
yes, thank you very much.
Trip,
oh, thank you.
I strongly believe that we all have to do our part to make this a better world. And I think this organization is doing that in small steps.
People,
take care.
Thank you. Thank you.
Our volunteers represent one of the best aspects of the United States, and that is the commitment to contribute, the commitment to make the world a better place. I think one site and one individual at a time, I think that we're doing a small part
That's what Children's Heart Link is all about, I want to say. Teaching, providing third world to help them better take care of themselves.
Oh, como Oszman y como Englund.
That's the end of the story.